For the very first time on this channel, you are lucky enough to witness me do a tier list. Yes, that's right, we are doing a tier list of albums and releases, some EPs, some deluxe things that came out this year, and ranking them from the top tier right down to the bottom tier. I've never done one of these before on the channel. I do like tier lists. I have done them in the past on, like Twitter and stuff, but I've never actually done a video, so I'm excited to do this. I hope you guys are looking forward to watching this as well, and me trying out new things and exploring new content, and hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it, and I hope you bloody do. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and check out other videos on this channel as well. You'll be happy to know that I've actually created this tier list myself, so I'm going to put a link to it in the description if you want to complete it yourself and share it with me over on Twitter or anything else that you follow me on, because that would be great to see. It'd be great to see what people think of the albums of the year so far. So I've got it all set up next to me here. I've got a bunch of releases, like 30 plus. I might not get through every single one because that might take a long bloody time, but I'm going to go through the most important ones that I want to talk about. There will be some that you may have not seen me talk about in any capacity on this channel actually, but there will be some that I've already mentioned before. But if you've never watched those videos, then you're getting some new opinions here. Don't forget, even though I'm not reviewing music in the same way I used to, I am still listening to a shit ton of music. Like, I have not slowed down in any capacity at all with that. I listen to a lot of friggin' music, so yeah, that hasn't slowed down. I just don't do as many reviews on the channel anymore. I'm focusing on other things. So let's get on with it. Let's see how this is going to go. Right out the gate, going to go with Jessie Ware here. And this album has only just come out. I've listened to it a few times. I haven't even reviewed it yet, and I do plan to review it. So you're getting a bit of a spoiler here. But I'm here to say that this right here is going straight up in the... straight up in the bad tier. No, straight up in the album of the year contender tier. This right here, man, is excellent, and I'm so glad because I feel vindicated. I was saying when Watch Your Pleasure came out, as good as that album is, as very good as that album is, very, very good album, that isn't the best it's going to get. It's going to get better. She's going to top it because it was her first sort of stylistic change into the more disco, dancey pop stuff. It was really good, brought out some really sensual tunes. But this new one, man, is just everything that album did, but better. It's so good. The production is just elevated. The classiness, the exuberance, everything just feels so high energy, so luxurious. It's just all perfectly put together. It's immaculate in how it sounds. The just energy from start to finish is absolutely infectious. It's got me thinking of some like Shaka Khan type stuff, honestly. That kind of feeling I get from Shaka Khan's music, I'm getting right in what this album is bringing. And it's an album of the year contender. It really is. It's a spoiler here for me to say that because I haven't reviewed it, but it is up there with one of the best. And I think so far this year, it's a huge highlight. Did not falter my expectations at all. It's really lived up to that. It deserves to be in that category for me, for sure. I've given you a hefty take right out the gate there, but let's go to the opposite end of the scale and give you some bad stuff. I gotta go with 100 Gex, man. I do feel like their gimmick has really dried out by this album. Like, considering how long of a wait it was from their first album to this album, and then to be still doing the same thing, but it's nowhere near as fun as the first time around, and just really goofy. And I know that's what you should expect with 100 Gex, and some people were saying to me like, what did you really expect? It's 100 Gex. And I get it, but it just sounds really bad. Like, there's no funny moments, even though they're trying so hard to be funny. I just don't know what people could get out of this, really. I've got to go in the bad tier for this one, man. It's really not too good. Carrying on, though, I may as well keep in the more lower range. Main Skin, this album was really not good. Honestly, probably is kind of bordering on the bad tier, because really there's a lot of bad lyrics across this album, like really bad. We're the cool kids, we're the cool kids. It's really just not very well done, and a lot of people were acting like these guys were like the saviors of rock music, like they're the new band, the new cool band to come through and be like this you know, exciting band in the rock world and bringing back real music, which you keep seeing people say about them. Like, they were okay to begin with. Like, they've got some decent songs, but I don't know what the hell happened. They're just really not very good. I'm feeling spicy. I'm going to keep in this range for a little bit. Sam Smith's album, Gloria. I skipped Unholy every time because I really still do not like that song. I like what it represents in terms of like having that Sophie sort of influenced production, because I feel like having that in the mainstream is insane, to be honest. Like, that sample pack being from Sophie's music is quite outrageous to be like a huge smash hit. But the song itself is just arse. Like, it's an arse song. It sounds really bad. The chorus is just really crap. Like, I just couldn't get with that song at all. And then the rest of the album, Sam Smith has the audacity to kind of just go back into the usual tropes of previous albums of doing the kind of like slow ballady type stuff with some like gospel moments as well coming through, like soulful gospel moments that just sound really okay. Like, nothing is done in a way that I would like be absolutely head over heels for. It's just all so fine. I don't know, man. It's just there. Let's go more positive though. I'm going to drop some decent to good stuff now. Jordan Ward, man. Jordan Ward. This album has been really underrated, overlooked all year. Fam Jam 4000 is one of my favourite songs of the year so far. So fun, so lively and kooky. It's just a great little tune. I feel like if you're a fan of Smino and you're a fan of Steve Lacy, I feel like, you know, Jordan Ward falls somewhere in between both of those artists, to be honest, and it's just really good. There's hip-hop, there's R&B, there's soul, there's pop. This is a super underrated album. I don't absolutely love it, and I will say, like, some of the tracks weren't quite as great to me as I was wanting them to be, but I don't know, maybe with more listens later on in the year, this could really grow on me. But in terms of what it represents and just how fun it is, I'm really surprised no one is really talking about it, to be honest with you. Let's go with some Ice Spice next. I feel like Ice Spice at the moment is representing some odd takes in the music world. Like, she's kind of become this like figure in music where people are like, this is what not real music sounds like and you should be listening to Metallica. I'm genuinely seeing that kind of stuff, by the way. I'm not making this up, and it's exactly why I called my channel the name it did, because stuff like this is hilarious when in reality it's a solid EP. I mean, yeah, I think lyrically she's not great. Honestly, I don't think you should be going to her music for lyrics, just in the same way you wouldn't listen to Playboi Carti for the lyrics, really. I mean, if you do, that's kind of mad, but maybe that's just what you feel. But yeah, I feel like at the moment she's got some talent there, and I think for just catchy pop rap stuff, it's decent. You know, I'm not going to put it any higher than that, but I think acting like she's one of the worst artists around right now is kind of ridiculous. I don't know where that's coming from. We got to go with some Caroline Polachek in Excellent, man. I feel like, for me, this could have been an album of the year contender, but I think as the year goes by, there's going to be some albums that kind of swoop in and take that spot. And as great and as fantastic as this album is, I've already reviewed it. You should have watched that review if you haven't. I do sort of feel like it's not quite at the highest tier. And I think as the year goes on, when great releases start coming out, it will continue to maintain it being that really top end tier. But it's not going to be like album of the year potential. But it still is so bloody good. And these tracks are just like so well produced. Her vocals are exquisite, like some of the best vocal performances you're probably going to hear all year in pop music, and the tracks are just so varied and diverse as well. It's super great, and yeah, I am very much happy with what she delivered on this one. I want to throw in Nico Polo in this tier as well. I got to do it. Oh no, slightly too high. Yeah, excellent tier. This is excellent. Nico Polo, Time, maybe my song of the year so far, honestly. It's one of the best songs of the year for sure for me. Absolutely love that. Her Portuguese influences coming through in this folky, sunny, kind of like poppy folk music is just really lovely to hear. It's perfect music for this time of year, particularly in the UK when we're starting to see more sun. I just think it's just got everything you want from a folk album. The vocals are absolutely stunning. It's probably the selling point, really. And yeah, again, super underrated. Like, super under. There's going to be some really good albums on this list that I'm barely seeing anyone talk about. I'm putting my boy Vale Smith in the very good tier. I feel as though this album is probably going to be considered his best, or either this or Rekindle, and I can definitely see why. They are both very, very good albums, and it doesn't quite land in the excellent tier for me, although I still feel like by the end of the year I'll be talking about it and saying, yo, it's at least an honourable mention or something like that. I feel like, again, really underrated stuff. I want to throw in Black Thought on the same tier as well. Again, just the longevity of this guy is insane. Like, I keep talking about how mad it is that he's approaching his 50s and he's still making music that you could call very good at this point in his career. It really shouldn't be the case. I mean, when you look at other rappers that are similar ages and have kind of fallen off a cliff, I want to mention Eminem, really. And they're called, you know, they're listed as the GOATs, they're listed as the best of all time, and yet at the moment they're not even coming close to like the brilliance of a Black Thought. And I just don't know why I'd never see him in the GOAT conversation, and it's kind of mad to see, really. I'm also going to keep this going and put Lil Yachty in the very good tier 2. I think people are overselling this album a little bit, to be honest. I think people are acting like it's the best of the year. I don't really hear that, honestly. And I'm not trying to downplay people's love for it. If you love it, that's absolutely fine. But I do think it's gotten a bit oversold. I think the dramatic genre change surprised a lot of people, and the fact that he did it successfully as well, which is really rare to see. We've seen so many artists that fall in the Machine Gun Kelly category of, you know, changing styles and it just bombing. And Lil Yachty kind of broke that mold a little bit, coming from hip hop to do something else. Remember Lil Wayne as well, doing rock music. Like, there's so many artists that try this and it fails. Lil Yachty did it successfully, and I think people are just so shocked at that they're kind of acting like it's the best album of the year so far. I think he's done the album really well, the sound really well, the sound justice. But yeah, for me, it's a few tiers down. There's a lot more albums that I think I'd call, you know, the best of the best over this. Let's go right down to the awful tier though. I just reviewed this on the channel. Water Parks, man. This is a horrendous album. Vocally, it just sounds shoddy as fuck. The lyrics at times are just so questionable and so sus, if I can even use a word like that, honestly. Like, I don't even know what the hell was going on with this one. I'm gonna gloss over it and just move on. I want to put Ava Max in decent good. I'm gonna do it, man. I'm going to do it. Because no doubt there'll be people like, all the popular music is in the lower tiers and all the music that no one's heard of is in the higher tiers. Well, when Jessie Ware gets like Brit Award nominations, you'll be coming back here and saying, oh, you did know popular music. Oh. But yeah, anyway, Ava Max, this was pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I was impressed because I don't really like Ava Max. I don't really think her first album was very good. But honestly, this was good. There was some bangers on this album, man. There was some bangers, absolute bangers. And she didn't see much mainstream success from it. I'm not quite sure why. But controversially, I'm putting Lana Del Rey in the same tier, right next to her. I think a lot of people will be shocked at that. I think you could argue putting it higher. But for me, again, I have to bring up the elephant in the room with the Lana Del Rey album. Why does she feel the need to make them like 70 minutes long? What is with this album being so long? I don't get it. I don't know why she delivers these albums and just overpads them. Just in the same way she did with NFR. I'm going to say it with that album too. It was the exact same problem. It just felt like you were hitting the point where the album was offering the same thing over and over again by the end. And I just don't really feel like it needed to be that long. I think the crop of the tracks is good though. But yeah, for me, it ran thin by the end. Let's go to some mid-albums though. Slow Tie. I think in theory this album works because I don't think he was ever a very good rapper. He has his moments, like for sure, like especially on My High by Disclosure. I think he's really fun on that track. And tracks like Doorman as well are excellent. But I think delving into a more post-punk sound probably suits him a lot more, actually. And again, with the genre change and the way it's kind of flipped what you're expecting from the artist, I feel like people have kind of oversold it again. It wasn't that good in comparison to other post-punk albums. It really wasn't. And I just kind of find that one a bit of a head scratcher for me. I just don't know if Slow Tie is ever going to be an artist that I really love, which is a shame. However, I do want to mention Shame. Shame being in the very good tier here for me is very acceptable. This is post-punk done very well. And I think actually these guys have probably gone in a bit more of an accessible direction from their previous stuff. You know, Drunk Tank Pink was excellent. So good. This one's not quite as good, but actually when you listen to the fact that, you know, when I saw them live, they were saying, oh, we wanted to make music that was for this setting. And it actually translates really well live. Like all of these tracks, when I saw them live, sounded so much better. And I was like, oh, wow, actually, this album is really good. I want to mention some excellent stuff, though. Parannoul, man. This album is great. This album is great. I think it's one guy, actually, but yeah, for shoegaze at the moment, I think this is easily some of the best you could possibly hear. I haven't even heard the live album, but everyone's going crazy about it. But I'm just talking about the studio album that they dropped this year. It's easily one of the best of the year for sure. And I also want to put in a pretty obscure album, probably the most obscure album on this list, actually. Wheelstalks, in the same category. Just so fun. Brazilian house music done really well. It's danceable, it's groovy, it's like 20 minutes long. My God, please listen to it. It's so fun. Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia, decent good. I think this album was a very weird switcheroo on hip-hop music, honestly. The way they just kind of threw out an album that was literally designed to scare people away and just almost alienate their fan base in a way, really, and it yet turned out quite good, is kind of remarkable. It's an absolute mess of an album in how it sounds, the mixing at times, I don't even know what the hell is going on, but I can't deny that I did enjoy elements of it, and I thought some of the production quirks were super creative. I thought, again, lyrically, I'm not sure this is one you want to be going to dissecting every bar, especially from Peggy, because I don't think lyrically he's very good. But I think overall, what they both bring to the table for hip hop is outrageous. Really, I think it's outrageous, and yeah, I would certainly put this in the decent good tier. I want to mention Tyler the Creator though. I'm going to put that in excellent too. It isn't a full body of work. It is just a deluxe edition of an album, and it is just basically like new tracks being thrown at the end of it, but they're so good. And I feel like we're in a new age now where deluxe editions of albums are like actually really important, and artists are thinking about what they're doing for the deluxe, and it's becoming more like artistically credible, because before it was just like, these didn't make the album, let's throw them at the end. But no, there's been a lot of deluxe versions of albums lately that I've been really impressed with, and Tyler Creator putting out some of his most like personal music to date on this one. It is really impressive. I'm impressed with this. Miley got going mid. This album was just like really dull, honestly. There's just like nothing summery or exciting or vibrant about this album, man. I think Flowers sounds okay. I think that's kind of summery in its sound. I'll give that one it. But yeah, this was just like so mediocre. No. Talk about surprises of the year though. Gotta go Skrillex in very good. Some of these tracks were really knocking. They were knocking. They were slapping. They were absolutely slapping. The features were really good across this thing. You got to give it to Skrillex on this one, man. I think this was not something many people were expecting. I want to go a bit more in the controversial lane of things, though, and put Paramore in decent to good. I think people were similar with this one as well, with kind of going a bit overboard with it, because I don't think this is better than After Laughter. I'm not even sure I'd put it higher than Riot, actually. But just in terms of what they were doing on this album, I think at times it was a bit safe sounding. I think when they go in the more slower tracks, it gets a bit boring for me, but there were some really catchy songs, you know, there were some really great moments. Running Out of Time I still really like. I think that's a great track, and yeah, I like what they were going for on this album, but for me, I don't think it's necessarily as good as some of their other work. Melanie Martinez, she's just bad. Her run of albums has been one of the worst runs in recent memory. Like seriously, for your first 3 albums to be all just really not good, I'm impressed with how low the quality is with her music, man. It's super impressive. And this one isn't even her worst. People were talking about it like it's the worst one, but it isn't. So I guess it's an improvement, but Jesus Christ, this ain't good. Gotta mention Kalela next in the decent. Been a lot of decents, man. This is really heavily pushed into the good category. Honestly, though, when you think about it, music, most music is like this range, really. Yeah, I think it's fair to say, like, to get beyond like the excellent, you've got to be truly special. And I think most music falls in that kind of middling range of decent stuff. To me, anyway. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments with that, because I don't know if many people would agree. But yeah, Kalela's album was okay. It was alright. I liked it. I think there were some really good elements, particularly in the more like two-step garage moments. I thought they were really great. Like the break beats coming through. Wow. But for me, it wasn't quite as striking as what I was expecting. And in terms of, again, like waiting this long, similar to 100 Gex, and not really being that satisfied with it, like Kalela made us wait a long time. And yeah, I don't think it quite lived up for me to what I was hoping for. Let's go with some Fever Ray next. I want to mention that. I think that was a very good album. I don't think it's one I'm going to go back to, but I think in terms of creativity, Fever Ray is up there with like some of the most outlandish and weird artists you can find. And there were some really great moments on this album. Really, really great moments. Pretty surprised with Cracker Island. I'm going to put that in the decent to good tier as well. I didn't really have much expectations for what Gorillaz are doing nowadays, but I usually come away from their albums with at least one track I really like, and I really like New Gold with Tame Impala. I thought it was a really good track. It's so funky and so groovy, so catchy as well. Really like that one. Their last album as well had Aries, which I thought was a really great song too. So yeah, I'm pulling away some moments from Gorillaz albums that I'm liking a lot, but the vast majority of what they do nowadays just is fine. Like, it's fine. Let's go with some Margot Price and the Very Good. Quite like this one. Not a lot to say. I think it's doing a sort of Americana folk thing at a pretty standard level, not on the level of Nico Paulo, but it was really good to listen to. Alright, I'm going to mention a couple more now and then call it a day with this. But yeah, I think Boy Genius was pretty decent as well. I don't necessarily love all of the individual members. I think for me, out of the three, my favourite is probably Julian, actually. But in terms of what they bring to the table in individual albums, I don't really get a great deal out of them, to be honest. I'm not a huge Punisher fan. I know a lot of people love that, but I personally don't really get a great deal out of it. But when they come together, I'm actually quite happy with what they deliver. I think there's a bit more of like a creative angle going on. There were some tracks that were like a bit more of the indie rock direction, which was quite surprising and nice to see. So yeah, I think this album is probably a sign of potential to come. I think if they keep collaborating in the way that they have, I think there could be some really good stuff. All right, finishing it off then with a big boy. We're going with the second and final album of the year contender. We got to go with Black Country New Road. Black Country New Road with the live album. This for me is one of the best of the year. I still see people saying it's probably their worst album. I actually think it might be their best one, and that's no slight on Isaac. It's no attack on Isaac at all. I do think Isaac will be missed. But for what they brought to the table here, despite having lost your lead singer and bringing all these different vocalists in, it was really remarkable. And I think just in terms of how these tracks build and how these tracks just tap into those emotions and just hit the core. They hit my core on a spiritual level. Tracks like The Boy I'm thinking of, Turbine's Pigs, and so many others. I was just floored. I still am. I listen to this album, I'm just really, really taken aback by the production. The chamber pop style that they're going for is stunning as well. And for a live album, I just think this sounds really, really crisp and detailed, and every note is not missed. Like, I'm just really, really happy with this, to be honest. It's an excellent album, and it is at the moment toe-to-toe with Jessie Ware as a potential album of the year contender for me. And yeah, I think if you are a Black Country New Road fan, you're probably already aware of their brilliance, but I was taken aback by how good this was, to be honest with you, man. It's brilliant. And that's it. That's the tier list. I'm going to leave it there. The tier list will be on the screen, of course. You can see how it all ranks. You can decide that my opinions are terrible, because I'm sure you will. And you can decide your own tier list and show me it somewhere on Twitter, wherever you want, by clicking the link in the description, making your own. And yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great, nice little talking point to see people make their own. Please tell me your thoughts on this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully you've had a good time watching what I've had to say. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been something totally different on the channel. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? What should I have included if I missed any? I've done a lot of albums here, so if I've missed some, it's kind of natural to have missed a few. But yeah, please tell me your thoughts. Have a good day. Subscribe and goodbye.